Hey, it looks like we are live. I always give it a couple of seconds and just to say good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good middle of the night to wherever you are that you're dialing in from in our big global family tribe network. I am Jane Bullen, Managing Director of the Nutrition Network, and I'm joined today by Robin Switzer, who is such a special and important person in the low carb community that we're so excited to introduce to the network and connect with in this way. Robin, welcome. Thank you for being
Thank
here with
you.
us today. I'm
Thank
really, really excited to talk to you and to learn more about your journey and for you to share your journey and your story with our global community. So just for those of you that don't know who Robin is, I'm just going to share with you a little bit about her. Robin is an entrepreneur, deeply committed to guiding people on their journey to unlock the secrets to optimal health. She's the curator, well, I'm going to say you're the founder ultimately, aren't you, Robin, of Hack Your Health, which is formerly known as KetoCon, the annual health and wellness extravaganza that's taken the wellness community by storm. Just to add to that, that we're going to be there this year as Nutrition Network. So this is, of course, why we want to share, we want to connect, we want to learn more about what you're doing, Robin. Robin's story is one of resilience that many of us can relate to. For many years, she struggled with food addiction, insulin resistance, hormonal dysregulation, ultimately leading her to discover the incredible potential of a low carb or zero carb eating and ketogenic diet. This ignited a passion for driving within her to adopt a holistic approach to health. She embraced whole foods and the low carb, zero carb lifestyle, intermittent fasting, and transformed and reshaped her body, but her outlook in life. And that motivated her to establish Q1 Productions, which is ultimately Hack Your Health now, which is this amazing event that grew from KetoCon, if I'm not correct. Robin, tell us a little bit about this event and where it came from.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm very grateful to be a guest here. So excuse my throat. I'm getting over a cold, and I thought I was over it until I woke up this morning. So there's a couple of things that I could share, and I'll try to do it in a chronological order. So when I grew up in a very carb addicted, food addicted family, and it was carbs and food were part of everything. So it was the way that we dealt with sad times. It was the way that we celebrated. It was the way that we entertained ourselves. It was the way that we had fun. And so at a very young age, I was hooked. And of course, I didn't understand it. I mean, I remember as far back as probably 6 years old, just craving carbohydrates. And it was all junk food, but that's just the way it was. And so every holiday celebration, I always went towards the carbohydrates. It was just part of who I was. And I was totally addicted. As young as 10 years old, I was very aware of the fact that it was causing me problems. I thought the problem was weight. So that's another part of this picture, is that my father struggled with his weight. My father's entire family was overweight. And I automatically thought that I was overweight. I convinced my parents to take me to Weight Watchers at 10 years old. And my parents had to sign off so that Weight Watchers would let me in. And that's when it started for me, dieting. And so learning how to use powdered milk instead of cream and all these other things, counting points, that followed me through elementary school, through middle school, through high school. I did every single diet. If you mention it, I've done it, including the dangerous ones. And that kept on happening throughout my 20s and even into my 30s. So I was always trying to treat the weight symptom, but there was so much more going on, and I just did not understand that it was so much more than losing weight. It was all about food, but I had no idea that that was the cure. So anyway, I discovered the Atkins diet. And I discovered it when it was a huge fad, but it was also anyone who was following it was crazy. So, but I did it anyway. And I did find some relief with that, but I couldn't stick with it. I couldn't, I just couldn't, I couldn't withstand the pressure from family and my social networks. So later on, as my conditions grew worse, and now I'm talking about when I was 30 years old, I was about 197 pounds, and I'm 5'4", and I weigh 125 right now. So I was quite overweight, and I had been pregnant once, and I was going to have a second child, but what I was finding was that everything was just getting worse. And I just started thinking, I'm going to have to find something that works for me, regardless of what anybody else says. And that's when I started just following low carbohydrate protocols by myself. And I didn't know what I was doing. I cut out sugar and processed food, and that made a huge difference, even though I didn't know there was a low carb title for it. And I found a lot of success
So
there.
just out of interest, so this was quite some time ago, is that correct? So it's before
Yeah,
the kind of contemporary, yeah. So you found
yeah,
it your own way.
I did.
Okay.
But the older I got, the more support I needed. Even though I knew what I was doing was better for me, I still had a hard time sticking with it. In the early 2000s, up to like 2010, maybe 2015, if you ordered a bunless burger at a restaurant, people looked at you like you had two heads. So, going anywhere and taking the bun off, I was like the center of attention, no matter what I was doing. And it kind of became a joke in my family. Oh, Robin's on another diet. What's Robin eating today? Oh, Robin, everybody's coming over tonight. What can you eat? And so, but I stuck with it. And eventually I was in several ketogenic Facebook groups because the keto had become the hottest topic. And I was already into low carb. So I was venturing into what is the ketogenic diet. And as soon as I started doing keto and allowed myself to eat fat again, and now I'm not eating sugar and carbs, and I started eating fat again, and the whole world changed.
Amazing.
Mainly my mental health. So I had a lot of problem with depression. So adding the fat back in really helped my mental health.
Okay.
So
So
still not knowing,
so you were doing you were doing a very low carb diet, but low
also
fat.
low fat.
And you shifted it to a high fat keto diet, and then you noticed that instant next
Yes.
level in terms of wow,
Yes.
beautiful. Yeah.
So what I mean, in retrospect, the fat allowed me to get rid of the like constant obsession. Like, what am I going to eat? When am I going to eat? That low fat protocol did not work for me. So even though I was losing weight, I was always white knuckling it. I was always like, okay, I can make it to the next meal. I can, I can push that aside. It was tough. But once I added fat back in, the whole world changed. So in these ketogenic Facebook groups, I one day saw an ad, a post looking for a program manager. Now, by now, I had turned my health around. I was very passionate about the fact that the keto was working so well for me. I was not happy in my corporate banking career. I had been in financial services and treasury management for 25 years as a sales manager. I was traveling too much. I was burnout. I was really looking for a way to translate my skill set into doing something that I could feel passionate about. And here I am in this Facebook group, and I see a post looking for a program manager. And just out of curiosity, I contacted the person that posted it. The gentleman was the owner of a brand that was recently developed called Keto Evangelist. And Brian was his name. Brian had started this group, and he had 5 or 6 different Facebook groups, 3 podcasts, all these different business lines he wanted to start. It was all focused on the ketogenic diet. And after an hour of talking to him and learning what he wanted, what he was looking for, and no promise for compensation, by the way, it was a huge risk on my part. I jumped ship at Bank of America and started working with Brian to start building this brand. The first thing that we did was talk about doing a live event because we had 600,000 people in all these different groups and podcast listeners. And we thought, wouldn't it be awesome if we could just like have a big party for everybody, bring all these people together, and and then no one feels like they're out on an island anymore. Everybody's part of this community. That's what really breeds success, is feeling part of something bigger than yourself, so that you know that you're making a difference, you're helping other people while you're supporting yourself and staying accountable to yourself.
Mm.
Problem was is that I had never produced a live event before. I had been a speaker for Bank of America. I had been, part of vendor and exhibitor setups at venues for Bank of America, but I had never put together a live event. So we did the best that we could by backing into creating this event based on my experiences as a speaker and a vendor. So the first event we did was 2017, and it was KetoCon, the science and stories of keto. And we were just absolutely elated about how successful it was. The people that came were so excited to have the support in the community. The vendors were collaborating with each other. We had about 600 people there the first year and 39 vendors. And during the event, we were just so energized, just filled up, to the top with excitement about this. We right away committed to doing another event. So we did the event in 2018 and 2019. And by 2019, we had 3,000 people there, 120 vendors, and it was just exploding. It was awesome. And then 2020 happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was March of 2020, and the venue that we used, the Palmer Event Center, was not calling. They weren't canceling the event. There were there were politics, happening in Texas and in Austin. The venue, contractually, when you produce an event, the contract that you sign states that if you cancel the event, you lose everything. If the venue cancels the event, you don't lose everything. So I was waiting for them to cancel, and they weren't.
They were waiting for you to cancel.
And it was up to me. And by this point, I mean, we had thousands of people, hundreds of vendors, and everyone's looking for an answer. And I can't like in good conscience say that we can do this event. I don't know. So I had to cancel.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So yeah, but on the flip side,
difficult times.
Yeah, exactly. On the flip side, all of the other business lines that we had created died overnight. So there was no revenue coming in. Everything had gone out to pay for the event because we were only 3 months away from the event. And Brian came to me and he said, we've got 90 days and we're going to have to shut the doors. Now, by now, I am totally immersed in this lifestyle. My whole life is about producing this event and all these people that we've brought together. My name is on everything related to the event because it was my project. And I did not want to go back to banking in the worst way. And I said, if you'll let me, I'll take over. And when it's time, I'll redo the event, I'll rebrand. And so that's what we did. We put together an agreement. Brian had kids to put through college and a wife that he needed to support. He had a whole life. My kids were grown, out of college. With my banking career, I was lucky enough to save a lot of money. So I was in a position where I could do this. So we put together a contract and I acquired all the assets and started rebranding.
Amazing.
Never in my life did I consider that it would be 2 years before we could do the event. I had no idea. But me and a very small team, Rekha, who did all of my web development and social media stuff and branding, she has since passed away. And my son, Ryan, who handles the expo hall during the event and the exhibitor sales, the three of us started rebuilding. And on a shoestring, I might say also.
Okay, so here we are today. When was your first event post-COVID?
Post-COVID. Yeah, we couldn't do it in 2020. We couldn't do it in 2021, but 2022, we came back. We honored all of the vendor and ticket sales from the event from 2020 and brought everybody back together. It was really awesome because everybody, again, had that same level of excitement. So great, grateful to be part of a community where we all come back together again. But it was very clear to me at that point that I was going to have to rebrand
Mm,
because I wanted to throw a wider net. There are a
mm,
lot of people in the world still who think that keto is a bad word, who think
yeah.
that low carb is something negative.
Mm,
And I didn't want to limit this event to just those people, just our community, because in order to grow, we're going to need to bring people from outside of that keto community. And
absolutely.
in order to help more people, I have to kind of not trick them, but I have to bring them into an environment where they can learn on their own without me telling them this is the solution.
Mm,
If I can curate an event that educates people, then they can take that knowledge
mm,
and go out in the world and determine for themselves what's the best fit. Not everybody needs to follow the same journey that I did. Not
yeah.
everybody needs to be as extreme as I was. I mean, I had
Mm,
40 years of bad habits,
yeah.
more like 50 years, but so yeah, so that's kind of where we are. Well, that's not where we are. What happened next is that after the event in 2022, I was on a road trip with my son and his wife and my granddaughter, who at the time was only a year old. And we were just brainstorming, how can we rebrand this event so that we're still bringing the keto community in there? We're still educating people on the importance of metabolic health and how to get there,
Mm,
but also draw in people from outside of our core community so that we can help more people.
mm.
And my son came up with Hack Your Health.
Beautiful.
So I'm on my cell phone on GoDaddy buying the Hack Your Health URL. And then we started planning on how are we going to pull this off. And we decided in the first year, which was 2023, to change our tagline. So we changed KetoCon, the science and stories of keto, to KetoCon Hack Your Health.
Mm,
Then the intention was to flip it the following year. This way we can continue to maintain our branding. We can continue to maintain our social
mm,
media and all that kind of stuff without losing any momentum.
mm.
And so this year we've rebranded to the final name, which is Hack Your Health by KetoCon.
Beautiful.
That's kind of where we are today.
So tell us, what does Hack Your Health mean, and what are we hacking at this conference? Like, how's it going to look? Or,
Well,
we call it a summit, conference
so the
summit.
underlying theme of this event is still metabolic health. And so I still have a banned ingredient list.
Mm,
I still am seeking and pulling together speakers that can share the message of improved metabolic health.
mm,
Sometimes that means cleaning up your sleep. Sometimes
mm,
that means stress. Sometimes that means mindset, physical activity. All these different things are being brought into the event.
mm.
So
Good.
um, one of the things that I'm really proud of and has been really difficult is this banned ingredient list that we have. Um, there's not going to be any junk food at this event. So when we first started doing this event, it was a lot of like keto food products.
Mm,
Some of those companies have sold out to like major manufacturers, companies with really deep pockets. Some of them have gone out of business. Some of them have continued and changed their ingredient profile so that it's no longer something that I would accept at our event.
mm,
So there's not going to be as much food at this event as people have experienced in the past. Probably 10% of the vendors have some sort of food product. But when I say food product, I mean things like carnivore snacks that is a dried meat product,
mm.
regenerative farming, farmers that bring in meat and cook meat on a skillet during the event. Um,
Good.
yeah,
Wonderful.
a lot of
It'll be a lovely fresh experience, because it's yeah, I mean, I noticed when I travel to the States, it takes me quite some time to restructure my metabolic health when I get home. I mean,
oh
it's a
really?
challenging, yeah, it's really, really challenging as a kind of coming from a different food system,
Mhm.
it's a huge shift. Okay, exciting. So that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your obviously your personal story, which is such a beautiful mirror of my own journey. So many overlaps, so many similarities. I totally resonate with, having tried every diet, the healthy and the unhealthy, or the unsafe ones in particular, and just this
Yeah,
long journey that all of certainly our patients at the Nutrition Network, we're a practitioner training entity. So of course we look at, how can we how can we better service patients in the community at large? So
Mhm.
beautiful just to hear that story and that you came before and had to find it the difficult way. And of course, what so many of our members are here, those of you that are listening, just huge gratitude to you that you are actually now offering this to patients so that the next generation doesn't have to go what we went through. We're kind of being rebels
Exactly.
behind it. So
Exactly.
you talked about how it changed everything in your life and of course your mindset. Can you talk a little bit more about that and what was going
Yes.
before and after
Yeah.
for you?
So I'm sure that a lot of your listeners can relate to this. Food obsession it can take over your life. It
Mm,
becomes, and it was for me, what I thought of all the time. It was my creative outlet. It was my entertainment. Even following, even in the beginning of low carb, I was still feeding that obsession, literally, of course, but also figuratively. Waking up, I was starving as soon as I woke up. I was hungry all the time and always wondering, always looking for some sort of a entertainment or fix, it was just an obsession. I mean, I can't think of a better word. It was just an obsession. And I don't live like that anymore. And that's, for me, I would consider that freedom. So the amount of time that I spent thinking about food, what am I going to eat? When am I going to eat? Planning it, ingredients, all these different things. All that time has been given back to me.
mm, mm,
So I no longer obsess about those things. And that type of freedom, it just impacts every area of life. First of all, I have more mental energy to give to my family, to give to my business. I have more physical energy. The
mm,
depression that I suffered with for so long, I don't have to even give a second thought to anymore. Uh,
mm.
the
Yeah.
physical reaction that I used to have to certain foods, um, because I've cut those foods out of my diet, I no longer have to deal with.
Mm,
So uh, I would say that it's impacted literally every area of my life. I mean, because today I don't eat round the clock anymore. My habits are, and this happened slowly but naturally. I usually don't eat until 12 or 1 o'clock.
mm,
I usually eat twice a day. I don't give much thought to how much I'm eating anymore. I just prepare what I'm going to eat and eat it, and then I'm done. I'm not snacking in between meals. My last meal is early, so I'm sleeping better. When I sleep better, I wake up, I don't have brain fog. I have more energy. I have more energy to exercise. I have a 3-year-old granddaughter, a 3.5-year-old, and a 3-week-old grandson. And so this gives me, I mean, I have all the energy I need to participate in their lives. I recently moved so that I could live closer to them, so I can see them all the time. I'm going to be 62 in August, and I am healthier today than I was when I was 40, and healthier today than I was when I was 50.
oh, amazing. That's really, really amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. You look amazing for your age.
Oh,
Just gonna
thank you.
Okay, so I mean, obviously, this is we're really excited in terms of just introducing Robin and the amazing work that she's been doing over these years. I think we've kind of, as we have like typical conferences that we go to every year, and it's so exciting for us to just come to a new community, meet a new community, bring a new community into our community, and grow our mutual networks
Mhm.
globally and of course in the States. So from my side, really, really excited that I'm not sure exactly who's going to be at the event, but Nutrition Network's going to be there. Thank you for having us there. We're really, really excited to be there and to meet so many of you. Members that are listening to this, please come and say hi, come and meet us, come and participate at the event. It's going to be amazing. What else? What can you share with us about the event that you would like people to know and what's going to kind of happen over those days, Robin?
Wow, it's a jam-packed 3 days, I can tell you that. We open the doors at 8 o'clock in the morning, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And on Friday and Saturday, we close at 6, and on Sunday, we close at 4:30. During those 3 days, we run several stages. There's a keynote stage that seats about 1,000 people. And then there's 2 breakout rooms upstairs that each hold about 150 people each. During that 3 days, we have 18 keynote speakers. A few of those are panels, but speakers that are going to be presenting information about the ketogenic diet, about uric acid, about sleep, about mental health. If you look at our website under the speakers tab on the menu, you'll see that there's 65 speakers. Some of them very well-known personalities, some of them not as well-known, but experts in their field. Then we have several workshops taking place during the event. We have fitness classes taking place during the event. So these are body weight movement classes, functional movement classes. People can do a red light sauna while they're there. They can have a DEXA scan while they're there. If they bring their bathing suit, they can do a cold plunge while they're there and see what all the hype is about with cold water plunging.
Fabulous.
There's a lot going on. Meanwhile, about 100 exhibitors and sponsors will be on the expo hall floor, and they will be everything from OsteoStrong, who is our title sponsor. They make equipment for improving your bone health. It's resistance training, but specifically for bone health. And so you can try that equipment. They have centers all over the US where you could actually go to their center. You don't have to buy their equipment. You can go to their centers to use their equipment. Red light therapy, laser therapy. There's literally something for everyone. So my goal is to bring as much as I possibly can, as much variety as I possibly can, to just continue to educate people. There's also plenty of food there, like I said. So we have a couple of, we have carnivore snacks that's going to be there. Are you familiar with carnivore snacks?
Yeah.
They're really popular in the US, but they make probably in my opinion, the best dried meat product available. There's a local ranch called Holy Cow Farms that is sponsoring our VIP dinner, but is also going to be on the expo hall floor. So they're going to be cooking during, all throughout the day, every day, handing out samples. Pedersen's Farms is one of our sponsors, and they cook bacon all day long. So when you first walk into the venue, that's the first thing that you smell is bacon and sausage, because that's what they start the day with. There's just all sorts of activities taking place. We're also this year we're doing a panel on regenerative agriculture. So, I mean, I don't know if that conversation is big for you in where you are, but in the US, this is a big conversation and a really important conversation, because we're trying to educate people on the importance of trying to be more local with your dollar. So if you understand what regenerative farming is, what it means to your local community and to your own health, but by supporting these farmers and using their products, how important it is. So we're doing a panel on that as well. And we're doing a panel on food addiction, which is really important to me. So there's just a ton of stuff happening all the time. We're finalizing the schedule for the event right now. So by next week, you'll be able to look at the website and see the schedule of events for each day. So, yeah.
So, of course, those of you that are listening, obviously so many times with so many of our curriculum, different focus areas, addiction being a strong one, so much going on in the different research areas that I've seen popping up around the event. And obviously anything regenerative and sustainability is something we focus on a lot. So exciting. Those of you that are listening, let us know if you're coming, where you're coming from, if you're going to be there, if you want to arrange a meetup or get together during the event. That would be amazing for all of our community and community of practice. Robin, thank you so much. This is really exciting. We're so looking forward to kind of being there, getting to know your community and your areas that you focus on better, and just experiencing the event. It's going to be an amazing one. So guys, let us know if you're coming, if we'll see you there. And yeah, can't wait to be there with you all again in North America, back in the Northern Hemisphere for a bit. Lovely to meet you, Robin. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's nice